Hello everyone, back tuning in today's second video. We're doing the ENSO update for August 2016 for today's second video. We've already done the weekend forecast. You can find the video to that on the homepage. There's also a written version which you can get to via buttons at the top of the page. Just click the button that says written update and then go to another page, and there you'll find the link that takes you to the 5 and 7 day forecast page. This is the ENSO update for August. So since the start of the year, we've been coming out of El Nino, or came out of El Nino at the start of the year. We've been monitoring on a month-by-month basis to see what's going on in the equatorial Pacific Ocean and see where we're going to go from El Nino into La Nina, into a cold event. And we're going to see in this month's update whether we've progressed any more into that La Nina. This is probably going to be the last La Nina update that we do, or ENSO update that we do this year, because from next month onwards, all of this is going to be encompassed within the winter updates, because ENSO conditions plays quite an important part in our winter development, in our winter story. So we will be monitoring ENSO not on a month-by-month basis, but on a week-by-week basis over the remainder of the year, certainly up to the start of December when we issue the winter 2016-2017 forecast. So these updates, these monthly updates, will be a little bit surplus to requirement until the end of the year. Anyway, they will return, of course, at the start of 2017. So, before I get on with the August update for ENSO, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on all the pages. Have a browse widgets and click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. And thanks very much for doing that. There's video ads on most of the pages. They open up content when you watch them. They close back up again. It does help to pay for Gav's weather.com. So, I'm going to start off with the sea surface temperature anomaly and map from back in June. And we're going to progress this through the summer to August. So this is how things were looking in the equatorial Pacific Ocean back in June. This is on the 23rd of June, the chart that we used for the June update. And, of course, the region we're interested in is just here. Peru is there. Indonesia is over here. So that's the equatorial Pacific Ocean. This is the equator along here. And, of course, we're looking for blue colours, because blue colours on these charts are cooler than average sea surface temperature anomalies. And essentially what we're looking to do is push a big mass of colder than average water up to the surface of the actual Pacific Ocean, and that is the signature for La Nina. So you see all of this blue that we've got down here in the Southern Ocean, the southern part of the Pacific Ocean. We're looking to get that across the equatorial Pacific Ocean, if you like. So that's how things were looking back in June. We had got a little bit of blue, but it certainly wasn't enough to say it was in a La Nina. That's ENSO neutral, on the cooler side of average, if you like. So let's see how the chart was looking when we did the last update. This was back in July. This was 28th of July. And there had been a little bit of progress. You can see that from June through to July. We did see a slight expansion of the blue colours, but nothing overly dramatic. Certainly nothing that you would say is a La Nina event at all, really. Just a slight further cooling through that central part of the equatorial Pacific, but still pretty much neutral ENSO condition. So let's have a look at the latest chart for August. So this is for the 22nd of August. And you can see there's been very little progress, has there? So if we go back to June, that's how it looked in June. This is how it looked in July, and this is how it looks in August. And yes, those blue colours are still there through the central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean, but there's been no progress at all, really, in cooling the equatorial Pacific down. So, in fact, if you go back to July very quickly, and then back to August, the latest, there's probably, if anything, been a slight shrinkage of those blue colours. So, if anything, the La Nina signature, and it was very, very weak anyway, has perhaps weakened over the past month. But there is nothing there that definitively says we are in La Nina condition, or that we're likely to go into La Nina condition. It just remains around ENSO neutral on the cool side, admittedly, on the cooler side of ENSO neutral, but certainly nothing there that would suggest we are in fact in or going to go into a La Nina. So let's compare that to years that had a La Nina event by this point in the year, by August. So we're going to go to 1998, and of course the El Nino that we had at the start of the year. If there was an El Nino that it was closest to, it was perhaps 97, 98, although it did bear similarity to 82, 83 as well. And this is how things were looking in August 1998. And you can see how much colder the equatorial Pacific Ocean was at this point, 22nd of August 1998, all of those blue and purple colours there. That's a strong signature for La Nina. There was a mature and moderate to strong La Nina event going on at this point in 1998. Another year is 2007. Had the El Nino of 2006, 2007 was very weak El Nino. Then we went into La Nina very quickly, and again, just look how much cold water there is coming out of Chile, across, close to the coast of Chile, all of this blue just here, and then feeding up into the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Also cold on the northern side of the equator as well, quite a bit of blue up here. So much colder Pacific Ocean at this point in 2007, with the signature of a strong and a mature La Nina by this point, 23rd of August 2007. And then 2010, the last time we had a significant El Nino event, significant El Nino to La Nina event, so going from warm to cold, was 2010. This is how things looked in August 2010. It's 23rd of August 2010, and again, just look how much blue there is. These are significantly colder sea surface temperature anomalies than we see right now. Much colder sea surface temperature anomalies, not just across the equator of the equatorial Pacific Ocean, but pretty much across the whole of the Pacific Ocean. Certainly this eastern side of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. If we compare that to right now, and where you can see the difference, it's not a La Nina. We aren't in a La Nina. There's no sign there that we're going to go into a La Nina. If we do go into a La Nina, if we struggle our way into La Nina towards the end of the year, it is just going to be a borderline sort of weak type affair. Be very surprised now if La Nina is ever designated for 2016 and into 2017. And there's the difference. That's what a proper La Nina, what a proper cold event looks like. This is looking increasingly like a failed La Nina. They do fail sometimes. And interestingly, other than 97, 98, the other year that we were closest to with El Nino was 82, 83. And 82, 83 was followed by a failed La Nina. We never went into La Nina through the second half of 1983 into the start of 1984. It looks like we've followed that trajectory rather than the 97, 98 trajectory, which was very much from warm to cold. Incidentally, when we get these failed El Nino to La Ninas, or when we get these failed La Ninas, very often the summers for us in the UK and parts of Europe as well are very hot. Now, we are having quite a hot summer across much of Europe, and it has been hot at times across southern England. It hasn't been for Scotland and Northern Ireland, northwestern England. We've perhaps been a bit, if you want hot summer weather, we've perhaps been a little bit unlucky, really, this summer. You might have expected, with this failed La Nina, you might have expected a hotter summer than we've had, but of course over the past few weeks, particularly since the middle part of July, it has been quite hot at times down in the south of the country. It's certainly going to be a significantly warmer than average summer, but it's not going to be remembered as a classic, and it may be, unlike 83, for example, which was a classic summer, it may have been a little bit unfortunate, really, if you want hot summer weather, what's happened this summer. Anyway, it's looking like a failed La Nina. Let's have a look at the subsurface temperature anomalies next. This is from the PDF from CPC, NCEP and NOAA, and you can find the link to this. It's updated every week. It's wonderful PDF. It has loads and loads of information. You find the link to this on the links page. So this is the latest subsurface temperature anomaly just here for the equatorial Pacific Ocean. And you see there is cold water at depth. This is the scale. This is the depth on the side of the chart. And you see at depth there is some cold water, but it isn't really getting to the surface. The surface is sort of up here, and that is indicative of the very, very slight cooling that we've got across the central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean anyway. But you see at depth there is some cold water, but the scale's on the side of the chart, and those cold anomalies only go down to around 2 degrees below average, really, at the deepest. And to get a strong La Nina, very often you would see the subsurface temperature going down to sort of 4, 6, maybe even lower degrees below average. So that's one of the reasons. Anyway, the cold water at depth isn't really cold enough. It's also not getting up to the surface all that well. And the reason for that is the SOI, the Southern Oscillation Index. And that is an index that reflects the state of the atmosphere in the Southern Ocean between Darwin in Australia and Tahiti. Now, when the SOI is negative, that is telling you that the atmosphere is reflecting an El Nino state. When the SOI is positive, that's telling you that the SOI, when the SOI is positive, that's telling you that the atmosphere is reflecting a La Nina state. Remember, these are indexes, same with the Arctic Oscillation, same with the North Atlantic Oscillation. All these indexes are simply reflecting the state of the atmosphere. They're not driving anything. The SOI doesn't drive anything at all. It just reflects the state of the atmosphere. And as I say, when the SOI is negative, the atmosphere is reflecting El Nino. When the SOI is positive, the atmosphere is reflecting La Nina. So we start with this on the 1st of August, and we had a positive number there for the SOI, 11.96. So that's indicative of an atmosphere that's in a La Nina, albeit quite weakly, but in a La Nina state. However, we don't have to go down very far to find negative numbers appearing. So the 3rd of August, minus 3.88. The 4th of August, minus 8.32. The 5th of August, minus 9. These numbers are all telling us that the atmosphere on those days in the equatorial Pacific Ocean, or in the southern Pacific Ocean, was reflecting it was reflecting El Nino. It was reflecting an El Nino setup. And that means that the atmosphere, which is on those days reflecting El Nino, is fighting against the ocean, which is trying to produce a La Nina. To get these events, be it El Nino or La Nina, you have to hook the atmosphere and the oceans up. I say it all the time, you got to hook them up. And when you do that, the whole thing sort of snowballs and snowballs and snowballs. We saw it last year around this time when the El Nino was snowballing, because we managed to hook up the atmosphere with the ocean. They fed one another, and that led to the massive Super Nino that we had at the end of 2015. It's not happening for La Nina this year, because we're getting these negative numbers again. On the 6th, we're at minus 6. On the 7th, we're at minus 2. Then we go quite positive on the 10th, up to plus 11. But if we scroll down, look at this, we get more negativity, albeit weakly, but it's enough to be acting as a buffer against the La Nina. So the 13th minus 1, the 14th minus 2, the 15th minus 4, and so we go on. Now we come down to the latest numbers, and we have gone quite strongly positive just in the last few days. So on the 21st, I better change the colour. On the 21st, we come out at plus 11. On the 22nd, we come out at plus 14. On the 23rd, we come out at plus 15. And on the 24th, we come out at plus 12. So those are quite strongly positive SOI numbers, and that's telling us that on those days, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th of August, the atmosphere was reflecting La Nina. Now, if we saw lots of days like this, and really you would need to go sort of minus 20, sort of plus 20s, plus 30s with this, over several days, then that would allow the cold subsurface water to start to come up to the top, and it would allow something of a La Nina to develop. I think we're too far into the year now to get a moderate La Nina. The best we can hope for if you want a La Nina is sort of weak La Nina condition. And we've got to get a lot more days like this to do that, because as it is, if we just have these days where we're trading positive and negative numbers, all we're going to do is stick at ENSO neutral. And actually that's what the models are generally going for now. So this is the CFS V2 forecast for NEO 3.4, the central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. We've got the temperature scale on the side and the dates are on the bottom. So this is January 2017 just there. This is where we are right now, on the border between neutral and weak La Nina. And the black dash line is the trend line of the model. And you can see the trend to the end of the year is just pretty much to stay where we are right now. We stay around neutral, maybe borderline La Nina, but not enough to get designated. To get La Nina designated, you have to go to or below 0.5 degrees Celsius below average over 5 tri-monthly periods, and we don't do that because actually just here around October it's predicted that we're going to tick up a bit before we drop down towards November and December. But even as we drop down, we're only still just on the borderline between neutral and La Nina. So if that's right, if the CFS V2 is right, we'll never get a La Nina designated, and it's going to be an ENSO neutral sort of winter of 2016-2017. By the way, notice as we get through towards next spring, it is beginning to lift the temperature. Not yet back to El Nino, but it is starting to lift the temperature a little bit there right at the end of the forecast. We'll keep an eye on that, of course. The ECMWF, and again, tells a very similar story. So the red lines are the ensemble bloom, and we've got the temperature scale on the side, dates are on the bottom. This is where we are right now, just here. And you see, as we go through to the end of the year, this is through to January 2017, just there. You see the trend, I'll change the colour to blue. The trend is very much along the lines of neutral. This is around ENSO neutral, just here to borderline weak La Nina. It's very much along the lines of neutral. Maybe even a trend there towards the end of the year to lift things up towards the positive side of neutral. It doesn't go to El Nino. El Nino is up here. It doesn't really go to that, but it probably does lift things up a little bit in terms of the ensemble mean anyway, towards the end of the year. But it's ENSO neutral is the signal from both of these models. And what about the Jamstec IOD? Again, it tells the same story. Look at this. We've got the temperature scale on the side, the dates are on the bottom. This is where we are right now. The red line is the ensemble mean, and to get La Nina we need to go underneath this number over 5 tri-monthly periods. The red line does not do that. The trend of the model is to keep things at ENSO neutral through to the start of 2017. There's no increase into the spring of 2017, which is just here. No real increase in the trend line. So it just wants to keep things around neutral even into the spring. So this is very much looking like a failed La Nina. I think, well, if we do manage to get to La Nina, that PDF I spoke about, the summary of that is quite interesting because NOAA seems to be rating the chance of a La Nina by the autumn at around 55 to 60%. Now, from what I'm seeing, and of course that would be a very, very weak La Nina, but a La Nina nevertheless. But from what I'm seeing, I'm just not seeing this La Nina. I think ENSO neutral is how we're going to go into the autumn and then into the winter as well. We're going to stay around neutral, maybe starting off negative. By start of next year we might go a little bit onto the positive side of neutral, but ENSO neutral looks like the way forward to me. Maybe I've got it wrong. Perhaps we will go into a La Nina at the end of the year, but I'm just not seeing the evidence for it at all. So that's it. Looks like we've had a failed La Nina. And, of course, the implications for that are that the warming that was associated with the El Nino, the big spike in temperature that the planet went through, that was associated with the Super Nino at the start of the year, we're not unravelling that this time. We're not going down into a colder phase to cool the temperature of the planet down. So I suspect we're going to keep it pretty warm across the Earth for some time to come. So that's probably our last ENSO update of 2016, because as I say, through the winter updates, they're all starting from next weekend. Winter updates will continue to monitor ENSO on a week-by-week basis, because ENSO does play quite a significant role in the weather that we can expect during the winter months. So we'll be monitoring what's going on in the Pacific every week from next week onwards. Right, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed the ENSO updates through this year, and of course they will return when we're done with winter updates. We might do one in December, if not, they'll return in 2017. That's all for now, and just say that tomorrow we will be doing the, just throwing this in, I was going to wind it all up then, but I just remembered that I'm going to plug tomorrow's video. So we're doing the autumn forecast tomorrow. We're going to get the analogs and the models together and do the autumn 2016 forecast. Also, after that, when the autumn forecast is done and dusted out of the way, there will be a little sneak peek at the winter 2016-2017. We'll just have a look at 2 or 3 models just to whet your appetite a little bit for those winter updates that will be starting from next weekend. Right, I really am going this time. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.